Imagine an outfit you could never buy in any store, one you could never order online for any price. Even with billions of dollars, you still couldn't have it. Because this is not just fabric and stitching. It is a piece of Korean history that is over 250 years old. And on one unforgettable night, Jimin of BTS wore it in front of the entire world. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Whether you're ARMY or not, this video is something you need to watch until the end. Because today we're uncovering the story behind one of the most historically significant outfits ever worn by a K-pop idol. Let's take you back to 2020. The world was in lockdown. Concerts were canceled. Live audiences were gone. But BTS never stopped. In a special performance for The Tonight Show starring Jimmy Fallon in the United States, BTS did something no K-pop idol group had ever done before. They didn't perform on an ordinary TV stage, not in a modern studio, not at a typical entertainment venue. They performed inside Gyeongbokgung Palace, the grand royal palace of the Joseon dynasty, built all the way back in 1395, more than 600 years ago. Standing in front of that magnificent palace, with its historic walls as their backdrop, BTS performed Idol, a song that itself celebrates Korean identity, complete with traditional chants like Ealsu, Hoda, rooted deep in ancestral culture. And that's when the performance went viral around the globe. Not just because of the music, not just because of the breathtaking choreography, but because of the outfits they wore, especially the ones worn by Jimin, Suga, and jhope. These three members appeared in extraordinary avant-garde suits, outfits that looked modern, stylish, and futuristic. But beneath their contemporary appearance lay a secret running far deeper, a cultural heritage rooted thousands of years into Korean soil. And today, we're going to unpack every layer of that secret, one by one. To understand why Jimin's outfit is so special, we first need to understand what hanbok actually is. Hanbok, from Han, meaning Korea, and bok, meaning clothing, is the traditional attire of the Korean people, with a history stretching back more than 5,000 years. 5,000 years. Imagine that. The ancestors of the Korean people were already wearing early forms of hanbok long before many great kingdoms of Europe even existed. The oldest records of hanbok come from the era of Korea's three kingdoms, Goguryeo, Baekje, and Silla, spanning roughly the 3rd to the 7th centuries. Wall paintings found inside Goguryeo royal tombs depict people of that era wearing a top called jeogori and bottoms called baji or chima, the basic foundation of hanbok that has survived to this very day. But the hanbok most recognized around the world, including the one we're discussing today, comes from the Joseon dynasty, which lasted from 1392 to 1897. The Joseon era was the golden age of hanbok. This is where colors, cuts, and symbolic meaning behind every thread were refined over centuries. Every color in hanbok isn't simply an aesthetic choice. It carries its own language. White symbolizes purity and light, which is why commoners often wore white and were once nicknamed the white-clad people. Red represents good fortune and vitality, traditionally worn by brides on their wedding day. Blue represents harmony and balance. Gold and yellow was reserved exclusively for the royal family, and commoners were strictly forbidden from wearing it. The fabrics themselves weren't ordinary either. Commoners wore hanbok, made from coarse cotton and linen, while the nobility and royal family wore fine silk woven using special techniques passed down from generation to generation. And this is exactly what makes hanbok so extraordinary. Every thread, every stitch, every pattern carries a story. But how did fabric centuries old end up transformed into a modern suit worn by Jimin on a global stage? This is where a young man named Kim Rul enters the story, real name Kim Jong-won. Kim Rul was a gifted young designer born on December 11, 1993. In 2016, at around 22 years old, he founded his own fashion label called Rul. But Rul wasn't just any fashion label. Kim Rul had a very clear and meaningful vision to modernize hanbok so it could be worn by men today without losing its soul or its history. His inspiration came from a simple observation. One day he saw his foreign friends renting hanbok to wear while sightseeing in Korea. When he asked why they liked it so much, the answer surprised him. The fabric is so beautiful, but unfortunately, it's not comfortable to wear every day. That answer struck Kim Rul like lightning. 19th century hanbok simply isn't comfortable for 21st century people, he said in various interviews. But the beauty of the fabric, the beauty of the tradition, that's extraordinary, and the world needs to know about it. And here's the most astonishing part of this story. To create the outfits worn by Jimin and his fellow members, Kim Rool didn't use ordinary fabric. He used traditional hanbok cloth, fabric whose weaving techniques have existed for centuries, hand-woven by artisans who inherited the knowledge of their ancestors. For BTS's comeback concert in Gwangwon in 2026, the outfits worn by the members were made from hand-woven Korean cotton and linen, featuring textures designed to mimic the brushstrokes of traditional paintings and backdrops. This isn't factory-made fabric. This isn't something you can simply order online. This is fabric whose production process carries forward a tradition more than 250 years old, weaving techniques preserved and passed down through generations within Korea's traditional textile artisan communities. And beyond the fabric itself, each BTS member in their most recent performance wore a hanbok that told the story of a specific historical character. Jimin appeared as the embodiment of an artist and a free spirit. Fitting, since that's exactly the essence of Park Jimin within BTS. V appeared as a Doryong, a young scholar from the Joseon era, full of intellect. The other members each represented different roles from traditional Korean society. The designer hoped that by weaving historical character identities into each member's costume, BTS would appear not just as idols, but as cultural ambassadors representing Korea to the world. Now we arrive at the most controversial and most shocking part of this story. In 2021, an announcement shook the global ARMY community. The exact hanbok suit worn by Jimin during his performance at Gyeongbokgung Palace for The Tonight Show was going up for auction. The auction house My Art Auction, which specializes in traditional Korean antique art, announced they would sell the iconic costume. The starting bid was set at 5 million won, roughly equivalent to about 65 million Indonesian rupiah or several thousand US dollars. That sounds like a significant amount, but for devoted BTS fans, price was no object. They were ready to pay almost anything. But then a fact emerged that made everything far more shocking. The designer, Kim Rool, revealed in a video interview that the outfit was returned to him immediately after the performance, and it had never been washed since. This outfit was touched and worn by Jimin, Kim Rool said. I didn't even wash it. This is the outfit that still carries his sweat and his scent from that day. The ARMY response split sharply into two camps. Some fans saw it as something deeply special, an authentic artifact, not a replica, that had genuinely come into physical contact with their idol. But the vast majority were furious. ARMY called the move invasive and deeply unethical, and many worried the garment could end up in the wrong hands, potentially purchased by a saesing, the term for obsessive fans known for crossing serious boundaries. Questions flooded social media. Did Jimin himself know his outfit was being sold unwashed? Did HYB, BTS's management company, even approve this? Was this ethical at all? The pressure from ARMY grew so intense that the auction was ultimately canceled. My Art Auction announced, after much consideration, we decided to cancel the auction. And that's exactly what makes this outfit truly priceless. It was never sold. It can never be bought. Because it isn't just an object, it is a memory, an identity, a piece of history too valuable to ever be traded. The story of Jimin's outfit didn't end in 2021. In March 2026, BTS returned to the stage after nearly 4 years away due to mandatory military service and solo careers. And once again, their comeback shook the world. They performed at Gwangwon Square, the grand front gate of Gyeongbokgung Palace, one of the most iconic locations in all of Seoul. Not at an ordinary concert arena, not at a modern stadium. At the very place where Joseon Dynasty kings once walked. At the very place where thousands of years of Korean history have pulsed through time. With special permission from the Korean Heritage Service, the government body overseeing Korea's cultural heritage, BTS walked onto the stage through Edo, the King's Path, a stone walkway inside the palace that, historically, only the king himself was permitted to walk. Anyone caught stepping on that path during the Joseon era would be punished with 80 strikes of a cane. The performance was broadcast live worldwide via Netflix. Millions of eyes watched as 7 men who grew up in Korea walked across the very same ground kings had walked 600 years before them. And their outfits? Once again, modern hanboks specially designed, this time by the label Songzeo, one of South Korea's first independent designer labels, blending the elegance of tradition with bold contemporary style. Midway through the concert, the stage filled with singers and musicians wearing authentic Joseon-era hanbok, performing Arirang, Korea's most beloved folk song, often considered the country's unofficial national anthem. And there's a beautiful irony here. The very first recording of Arirang took place in the United States in 1896, made by 3 young Korean men who had just arrived at Howard University. 3 out of 7. Just like BTS, a group of 7. History repeats itself, but this time with a far greater roar. So let's pause for a moment and reflect together. When Jimin wore an outfit made of traditional Korean fabric in front of millions of American viewers on The Tonight Show, what was actually happening? This wasn't just a fashion show. This wasn't just a marketing gimmick. This was, in the most elegant and quiet way possible, an act of cultural defiance. Remember, not long before that performance, there had been heated controversy when certain parties from other countries attempted to claim hanbok wasn't truly Korean, that this traditional clothing was cultural heritage anyone could lay claim to. And when BTS stood in front of the camera on The Tonight Show, watched by millions of American viewers and millions more around the world, wearing modern hanbok designed by a Korean designer, they didn't need to say a single word to declare, "This belongs to us. This is our identity, and we are proud of it." Designer Kim Roll once said, "When people who represent Korea affirm something like that, people overseas understand that hanbok is Korean." That mission succeeded. After BTS's performance at Gyeongbokgung Palace, global searches for hanbok surged dramatically. Hanbok rental shops in Seoul were flooded with bookings from foreign tourists. Young Korean designers found new inspiration to explore their traditional heritage with renewed passion. And after the 2026 comeback concert at Gwangwon, CNN reported social media was flooded with photos of fans from around the world wearing hanbok, from the United States, Brazil, France, Indonesia, and Japan. A single piece of fabric, hundreds of years of history, and one idol group who carried it onto the world stage. Before we close out this video, there's one more story we cannot leave out. A story that's heartbreaking, yet one that only strengthens just how meaningful this legacy truly is. On February 11th, 2025, the Korean fashion world lost one of its youngest and most talented rising stars. Kim Roll was found dead at the age of 32. A young man who had once made Forbes' 30 Under 30 Asia list in 2023. A young man whose work had been featured in collaborations with McLaren, Samsung, and New Balance. A young man who dreamed of introducing the beauty of Korea to the entire world through a simple piece of fabric. He left far too soon, but his legacy did not leave with him. Every time a fan in Rio de Janeiro searches to learn more about hanbok because of BTS, Kim Roll's legacy lives on. Every time a young designer in Seoul decides to explore traditional fabric in their own work, his spirit still burns. Every time Jimin stands on a world stage radiating pride for Korea, Kim Roll's name will always be woven into that moment. So now you know. The outfit Jimin wore wasn't simply a stage costume designed to look striking on camera. It is an extension of more than 250 years of history, from the weaving techniques passed down by Korean artisans, to the philosophy of color and meaning built over centuries of royal dynasty, to the courage of one young designer who believed tradition and modernity could walk side by side. And that is something no amount of money can ever buy. It cannot be mass-produced by any factory. It cannot be replicated by any luxury brand on earth. Because what makes that outfit extraordinary isn't its price tag. It's the soul woven into it. The soul of Korea that has endured for thousands of years and beats on today in every performance BTS brings before the world. That's why when Jimin stands on stage, whether in front of the breathtaking ruins of a Joseon palace or in a historic square that once bore silent witness to a nation's struggles, he isn't just wearing an outfit. He is wearing history. He is wearing identity. He is wearing pride. And there is no amount of money in this world that can ever buy that. So what do you think? Did you already know the story behind Jimin's iconic outfit before watching this video? Drop a comment below and let us know which part surprised you the most. The fact that the fabric carries 250 years of history, the canceled auction controversy, or the heartbreaking story of the designer who left us too soon. Don't forget to hit like if you enjoyed this deep dive, and subscribe so you never miss our next video, because we always bring you stories you won't find anywhere else. And one more thing, share this video with your friends, especially fellow ARMY, so everyone can appreciate just how extraordinary the cultural legacy BTS has carried onto the world stage truly is. See you in the next video.